How far would you go to survive? I mean, really survive. Today, we're diving into a true story that tests the absolute limits of human will. It's an unbelievable journey, a testament to the fight for life, no matter the cost. Just imagine hearing those words, that simple, desperate sentence. That was the first contact a group of survivors had with the outside world after 72 days of being completely cut off. So how on earth did it come to this? Let's get into it. Okay, so let's set the scene. It's October 12th, 1972. A chartered flight takes off from Uruguay, heading to Santiago, Chile. It's supposed to be a totally normal 3-hour flight over the incredible Andes Mountains. Of course, it turned out to be anything but normal. And on that plane, 45 people, mostly young guys, a Uruguayan rugby team, along with some of their friends and family. They had no idea that this trip was about to turn into the most unimaginable fight for their lives. So after a delay because of bad weather, they take off again on October 13th. But here's where things go horribly wrong. The pilots, they're flying through thick clouds, they get disoriented, and they start to descend way too early. The plane literally clips a mountain peak, and just like that, the tail is gone. Seconds later, a wing gets torn off. The main part of the plane, the fuselage, becomes this metal tube just rocketing down a glacier before it finally slams to a stop. The whole thing was over in just a few minutes. And their new reality? Well, it was a frozen hell. They were at an altitude of over 3,500 meters, deep in the Andes. You have to picture it, nothing but snow, ice, and jagged rock in every direction. They were completely, totally alone. So the crash itself was over, but their nightmare, their real ordeal, was just getting started. This is where the story takes an even darker turn. It's actually a miracle that anyone survived at all. 33 people made it through the crash itself. But that first night, with terrible injuries and the temperatures just plummeting, 5 more people didn't make it. For the first 8 days, there was still a sliver of hope. They could hear and see search planes flying overhead. You can just imagine them frantically trying to signal, doing anything to get noticed. But the problem was, the white body of the plane was perfectly camouflaged against the white snow. The planes flew right over them, again and again, and never saw a thing. And then came the moment that just crushed their spirits. One of the survivors, he actually got a small radio to work. And what did they hear? The news they were dreading most. The search had been called off. They were officially presumed dead. The entire world thought they were gone and had given up looking. Okay, so with the search officially over, a terrifying new reality sets in. They are completely on their own. And their food is about to run out. I mean, what do you do? It's a question you and I hope we never, ever have to answer. At that altitude, there's nothing. No plants, no animals, nothing. They got so desperate, they tried eating the cotton and leather from the airplane seats, but that just made them even sicker. Starvation wasn't a possibility anymore, it was a certainty. And look at what they had to work with. A few chocolate bars, a can of mussels, some jam. This was it for everyone. They rationed it so carefully, one survivor supposedly made a single chocolate-covered peanut last for 3 whole days. But you can see this was never, ever going to be enough. And just when you think it can't possibly get any worse, it does. On the 16th night, as they were all sleeping inside the fuselage, an avalanche came crashing down. It was sudden, completely silent, and absolutely deadly. It buried the plane and killed 8 more people in an instant. And just like that, their number dropped again. Now only 19 were left. And for 3 days, they were trapped inside the fuselage, buried under tons of snow. When they finally managed to dig their way out, what did they find? The same empty, frozen world. So now they were facing the ultimate taboo. Starvation was no longer a threat. It was happening. And they were left with an absolutely agonizing decision. The people who had died, they were their friends, their teammates. But they made a pact with each other. To survive, they had to use the only resource they had. They had to do the unthinkable if they wanted to live. That impossible choice, it gave them the physical strength to keep going. But they knew it wasn't a real solution. They knew that just sitting there, waiting for a rescue that wasn't coming, well, that was a death sentence. Their only real hope was to walk out. And their plan, born out of pure desperation, was actually pretty ingenious. They literally stitched together a sleeping bag using insulation from the plane. Then they gave what extra rations they had to the two strongest survivors, Nando Parado and Roberto Canessa. The mission was simple: walk west, find help in Chile. But here's the kicker. They were operating under a massive, devastating misunderstanding. Based on what the co-pilot had said before he died, they thought they were just a few kilometers away, just over the next mountain from the green valleys of Chile. The brutal reality? They were 89 kilometers deep in the heart of the Andes, with endless, massive peaks in every direction. So think about this. With absolutely no real gear, no maps, no experience whatsoever, Parado and Canessa start walking. They're battling these nights that are minus 30 degrees Celsius. They're hiking for 10 straight days, covering over 60 kilometers. After finally struggling to the top of one massive peak, hoping to see salvation, what do they see? Just more mountains. But even then, they just refuse to give up. After 9 absolutely grueling days, they finally get below the snowline. They see signs of life, grass. Then they see cows grazing. And then, across a raging river, they see a person, a man, on a horse. The river was too loud. The farmer couldn't hear what they were screaming, but he could see their desperation. And he shouted back one single word: tomorrow. Can you imagine? It was the first real sign of hope, the first promise of survival they'd had in more than 2 months. And sure enough, he came back the next day, and he threw them the paper and pencil that would finally tell the world their unbelievable story. And then, finally, on December 22nd, a full 72 days after the crash, the helicopters arrived. And in the end, 16 people were rescued. They were malnourished, dehydrated, terribly injured, but they were alive. They call it the miracle of the Andes. And it's not a miracle just because they survived a plane crash. It's a miracle because of the incredible resilience, the ingenuity, and the agonizing choices they had to make over those 72 days. It really leaves you with one profound question, doesn't it? When everything is gone, when all hope is lost, what are you truly capable of? Just a